The Lockheed T-33, once a staple of the United States Air Force. It was originally designed for use as a training jet from the late 1940s to the 1980s. Generations of pilots trained in this dependable single-engine two-seater. But this one, high above the California desert, is out of control. 15,000 pounds of metal is plummeting from 37,000 feet with 2 crew members aboard.
3 passing 200.
The pilot, flight instructor Skip Holm, is a highly experienced combat veteran. He was showing another pilot how to recover from a spin, but now he can't pull out.
17,000.
Flight controllers on the ground watch in horror as their comrades fall at the rate of 1,000 feet every 4 seconds.
16,000. At 15? 16, 15,000.
Every second counts. And to make matters worse, the ejection system has failed. The pilot has 2 choices: fly the plane or die in it.
This particular situation, I would say you could probably easily categorize as one of the most serious spin conditions that you could be in an airplane.
DJ Ransbury, a former Canadian Armed Forces pilot, teaches civilian pilots spin recovery techniques. He says airplanes normally behave in a predictable way when they go into a spin.
Characteristically, you'll see this rotating helical flight path towards the ground.
But this T-33 isn't in a typical spiral. Something has completely altered its aerodynamics. It's turning on 3 different axes: pitching, rolling, yawing, flipping from upright to inverted, subjecting the men inside to tremendous G-forces.
Not only is it rotating, but it's flopping end over end. Very, very violent in the cockpit for sure.
To teach a pilot how to recover from a spin, Ransbury and a trainee go aloft. A camera in the tail of the plane catches the action as he slows the aircraft to the point where the wings have no lift and the plane begins to stall.
And we're all set. Here we go.
Then torque from the engine and other aerodynamic forces pull it into a spin.
There's 1 turn. There's 2 turns. 3 turns. Now we're a steady state spin here. I'm going to push the stick forward, and that's going to accelerate it. Pass it through 7,000. I'm adding the power, and now we're flattening it.
To get out of the spin, Ransbury points the nose down as air flows around the wings. They regain their lift, and the pilot regains control.
Went out 3,500 feet. From 8,000 to 3,500. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Back in the stricken T-33, pilot Skip Holm has tried the standard maneuver. It failed, and he's running out of time.
At a certain altitude, it's time to make the decision to bail out of the airplane and save your life.
At 28,000 feet, pilots in 2 chase planes desperately call for the crew to bail. At 25,000 feet, the trainee in the cockpit tries to punch out, but the ejection system fails.
15,000.
Even though the ejection seats won't work, the pilot can still jettison the canopy away from the aircraft, and that could affect its aerodynamics. In a last-ditch effort to save the plane, he does just that.
14,000.
The T-33 wobbles a bit. Then incredibly, it noses down and slips out of its spin.
Sport, this is Cobra 5-1 declaring an emergency for Cobra 2-3. 5-1, roger.
But the emergency isn't over. The jet's engine has failed, and the pilot, Skip Holm, is flying without a canopy, a 200-mile-per-hour headwind whipping his face.
Cobra 5-1, could you give me a top emergency?
He has lost his canopy. I do not know at this time.
Incredibly, minutes later, after a pulse-pounding fight to the death, the wounded T-Bird is nursed back to Earth. Pilot Skip Holm puts the jet safely on the tarmac.
I was just glad to be on the ground and felt very fortunate that we got the airplane back.
Skip Holm saved his aircraft that day. But how? When he pulled the lever to jettison the canopy, a rocket fired, shooting a steel bar like a bullet from the plane. The bar took out the canopy, and the rocket's 800 pounds of thrust actually punched the airplane out of its spin. But it only worked because Skip's timing was nearly miraculous.
The airplane is tumbling, you know, head over tails now, it's tumbling. And what it does, it's tumbling and it reverses and tumbles the other way. It reverses and tumbles this way again. So the timing of the canopy has to happen exactly at the moment when it's tumbling and it stops to reverse.
Back on the ground, inspectors discover the T-33 is wrecked. The incredible G-forces from the spin ripped the engine from its mounts, stressed and bent a wing beyond repair. It was the wing that made the spin even more violent. The jet would never fly again. But Skip Holm would. He cheated death, and he knew it.
I think everybody has one day in their life that they're going to be lucky, and I use that one up.